We've been helping our daughter remodel her nice little cabin at Depot Bay, and we decided to take the day off today and go down and maybe check out the Darlingtonians. That's the insect-eating plants, and so we're going to try to finish up the trim and get things together. Be sure and subscribe to our channel. We really need it. Thank you very much.
We could have never picked a nicer day to go down south along 101. It's one of the last nice days that we'll have this season, so it's really super nice to get out and go down along 101 and watch the ocean and all the shore pine that are leaning up against Highway 101. A little break in the sow isle and the shore pine, and we can see Yaquina Head standing tall with the lighthouse out near the tip of it. And this is still a working lighthouse, and it's Oregon's tallest lighthouse. Only 60 miles south of Depot Bay, we find what we're looking for. It's the Darlingtonia wayside. This area has been set aside to preserve the Darlingtonia. The Darlingtonia grow in very poor soil, so they need to get a little boost for nutrition. So they've developed a way to utilize insects to get.
They have a little leaf that kind of goes down right below an opening, and then the insect gets on that and walks up the leaf, and then there are little windows in there, makes him think that it's daylight there, and he gets down in the stem and there are a bunch of little hairs sloping downward, and he crawls down in there, and then those hairs hold him from coming back up, and he gets right down in the base of the plant and becomes digested, and from there on he's food for the plant. And they're very efficient. If we could look inside that stem, we'd see just a whole row of digested flies and insects.
The nutrition they need. The state parks have built walkways that you can walk down and come to the Darlingtonia. They grow in a swamp, so when you walk on the walkways, you don't even get your feet wet.
This is the Darlingtonia wayside. This area has been set aside as a botanical preserve so that you may observe Darlingtonia californica, an unusual plant which traps and digests insects, also known as cobra lily, cobra orchid, and pitcher plant. Its range varies from an elevation of 6,000 feet to sea level.
There are thousands of them in this swamp, and you can actually look at them and see the little windows that let light in to fool the insects. Once the insect gets down in the plant, he better have his business pretty well wrapped up, because he's not coming out. These little insect-eating plants are very, very efficient, and those little stiff hairs hold the insect down until he drops in the moisture and drowns.
Darlingtonia. These cobra-like plants, Darlingtonia californica, are found natively in the bog areas of Northern California and southwestern Oregon. They flower in May or June with hanging blooms of yellow and red and produce up to a dozen leaves per plant. Erect seed pods remain most of the summer. Insects are lured into the leaf opening under the hood by nectar on the colorful petal-like appendages and the edges of the opening. Once inside, the hood of insects become confused by the many transparent areas in the upper parts of the leaves which appear as exits. Keeping a foothold on the glassy smooth upper surface of the tube is difficult, and eventually the insects are trapped in the lower tube by sharp downward pointing hairs. After falling into a pool of liquid at the base of the leaf, the captive is digested and absorbed as food through the plant's thin lower walls.
The seed pods from the Darlingtonia are still on. Some of them, the seeds have fallen off, but others are still intact. There's one that...
What's that?
This one right here has been torn open.
Oh, it has.
So it wouldn't work any longer.
No, they wrecked it.
The little bushes that are in with them are of the Rhododendron family, and they have a little blossom on them during the season.
It's quite easy to see why they've got their nickname they have, the Cobra Lily.
They like to grow right in the water, in the wetter areas. You can see open water in between them. There's some pretty huge Sitka spruce and western red cedar growing right on the edge of where the Darlingtonia are. A real gnarly old western red cedar trying to reach up to the sky where it can get daylight.